Aquatic biomes. We have read that on land, precipitation and temperature are the main determinants of the distribution of biomes. But in the aquatic systems, water is abundant and temperature is relatively constant. Therefore, in the aquatic systems, the abundance of life is mainly determined by energy and the nutrient levels. The producer organisms in the aquatic food chains are phytoplanktons. These are microscopic, free floating photosynthetic organisms, mostly algae and diatoms. They capture solar energy and obtain carbon dioxide dissolved in water to produce carbohydrates. They are consumed by zooplanktons and other small multicellular organisms like crustaceans, forming the second trophic level of many aquatic food chains. Zooplanktons are in turn consumed by small fish, which are a food source for larger fish, and so on. Aquatic biomes may be either freshwater or saltwater. Freshwater biomes include ponds, lakes, rivers, and streams. Ponds are small, shallow water bodies where sunlight reach to the bottom. But lakes are deeper and contain four distinct zones: littoral zone, limnatic zone, profundal zone, and the benthic zone. The littoral zone is the shallow water at the margin of a lake and contain rooted vegetation and abundant phytoplanktons. Limnatic zone is the region of open water which extends downward to the point where light no longer penetrates. It is the main photosynthetic body of the lake because it has abundant phytoplanktons. It is a biological factory, therefore, supporting most other aquatic life forms. It is also, therefore, the major source of oxygen that is required by zooplanktons and other animals such as fishes. Beneath the limnatic zone is the profundal zone. Plant and algal growth in this zone is less, almost negligible, because conditions are not favorable. It has little or no sunlight, and oxygen levels are also very low. The bottom of the lake is the benthic zone, and only those organisms that can tolerate cool temperatures and low oxygen levels, such as snails, clams, etc., can survive in this zone. In the lakes, stratification also occurs due to heating by the sun, and this is known as thermal stratification and turnover in lakes. In the temperate regions, lakes get thermally stratified during the summer and winters. But in the spring and fall, water turnover, resulting in a mixing of waters and redistribution of oxygen. During the summer, The water in the lakes form three distinct layers having different temperatures. The surface water of the lake is known as epilimnion. Just beneath the epilimnion is the region of abrupt temperature change known as thermocline. And below the thermocline is a region of fairly uniform temperature called hypolimnion. In the summer, the surface water is warm and hypolimnion contains dense cold water. The three layers also have different oxygen levels as we can see in the diagram. It is highest in the epilimnion because light penetrates and photosynthesis is greatest at the surface. During the fall, the surface waters gradually cool and the water temperature of the lake becomes fairly uniform. Winds also often churn the water, causing a thorough mixing of surface and deep waters. As a result, thermal stratification disappears. This mixing of surface and bottom waters is known as fall overturn. In the late fall and early winter, the surface water of the lake cool and ice may form. Because ice is less dense than the liquid water, it floats and form ice free zone in the deeper lakes where the fish can live. Oxygen levels are uniform, although they are lowest in the deepest water. In the spring, the ice melts and water temperature becomes uniform once again. Winds agitate the water, causing a mixing known as spring overturn. As the days get longer and warmer, the surface waters begin to warm and the lake once again becomes thermally stratified. The next freshwater ecosystems are rivers and streams. Streams begin in the mountain or hills. They collect water that fall to the earth as snow or rain. Streams join to form rivers and rivers flow downhill to the sea. So rivers and streams are flowing in nature, whereas lakes are generally static. The region drained by a stream is known as watershed. Rivers and streams rely more on agitation for oxygenation of their waters than the photosynthesis, which is the main source of oxygen in lakes. They are generally well oxygenated because currents facilitates oxygenation, and also since they have relatively large surface area to absorb oxygen from the air. Fast moving currents increase oxygenation. Animals are also adapted to different currents. For example, trout prefer oxygen rich mountain streams where the current is quite rapid, whereas black bass live in rivers where the waters are warmer, less oxygenated, and slower. Rivers and streams are open ecosystems because they receive nutrients from neighboring ecosystems. That is, Quality of water in streams and rivers is influenced by the activity in the watershed. Animal waste, insects, stems, leaves, nuts, and other biomass gets washed away into the streams during the rains. Therefore, many primary consumers in the streams are detritivores, that is, organisms that feed on waste or remains of plants and animals. Although streams have their own primary producers like algae and rooted vegetation, but these organisms play a minor role in providing food in this ecosystem. Freshwater biomes are under threat to pollution, especially from human sources like factories, towns, farms, sewage treatment plants, etc. Though they are resilient, but still they are highly vulnerable if the level of pollution exceed their capacity to self cleanse.